Crescendo, how are you? This is JC De Guzman. So, Cres, I hope you don't mind if I call you Cres. I decided to record a video for you instead of my classical way of explaining things, which is in a textual manner. So now let's be more creative. I'm going to be more creative this time by recording this video so that I think this will be more effective. Um, Instead of the textual format of explaining things. But we'll see. So let's get to the bottom of this, Chris. So you've asked for my recommendation on what you should do with your portfolio. So here's what I got. Here's what I got. So you sent this to me, and you also said that this has been your portfolio prior to subscribing to Equalist Analytics. So I've noticed, Chris, that you have MEG and RLC, and as you may already know it, these two stocks belong to our long-term investment watch list. So my advice that out of these four stocks, you keep your Mega World and RLC. You keep them. Don't sell them yet, okay? So you keep them in your long-term portfolio. By the way, you did not mention if we are looking at your long-term portfolio or a short-term trading portfolio or a mix of both. Anyway, I'm going to assume that I'm looking at your long-term portfolio. Okay? So that's it for Mega World and RLC. Keep them. But there's another thing that I've also noticed. Okay? I'm not going to say that you should top up on your Mega World and RLC on a monthly basis. I'm not going to say that yet because I would like to talk about this important thing that I've noticed that you should not skip. You should not skip. Okay? Okay, this is what I've noticed, Chris. You have allocated nearly 50% of your fund of your portfolio on Mega World and about 32% for RLC. So just for two stocks alone, you have already spent 81% of your overall portfolio on two stocks alone. Why am I saying this? Is there something is this something that you should have not done in the first place? Okay, here's the thing, Chris. As far as long-term investing is concerned, my personal practice is that no stock should get more than 20% of my overall portfolio. In other words, Chris, every stock in my long-term investment portfolio should not get a fund allocation that's more than 20%. Why do I do that? It is for me to, to tame my risks, to have a controllable risks in my long-term investment portfolio. The higher fund allocation you put on a certain stock, the more exposed you are to risk. That's the rationale behind it. So if I maintain my fund allocation for every stock in my long-term portfolio to a maximum of 20%, then I have a controllable risk in front of me. Now, in your case, you have more than double the risk that I only would like to handle in my personal long-term portfolio. You have doubled it. So from my 20%, you have allocated nearly 50% to Mega World. So what should be done here, Chris? What should be done here? This is my advice, and please take note of this. I suggest that you pick one to two other stocks from our long-term investment watch list. You pick one or two, and then you top up on that one or two stocks before you top up on your Mega World and RLC. Why not Mega World and RLC? Well, it is so that you could lower the fund allocation that you have set already for MEG and RLC. So let's say you pick two other stocks from our long-term investment portfolio. My recommendation is this December, assuming you haven't topped up yet for December. So this December, January, or maybe until February, you top up on those two new stocks for your long-term investment portfolio. Now, Once your Mega World and RLC, together with those two other long-term stocks that you have picked this December, once you have seen that their portfolio percentage allocation is somewhat placed between 20 to 25%, then that's the time that you can consider topping up on your Mega World and RLC again. Maybe that will be in February or March. Okay? So the goal here is, first, keep your Mega World and RLC. Do not sell them at a loss yet. Do not until you read the sell recommendation on our long-term investment watch list. Keep these two. Secondly, Chris, you pick one or two. Two is better. Pick one or two other stocks from our long-term investment portfolio, and then you regularly top up on those two stocks this December, January, or maybe until February, until your portfolio percentage for these four stocks, Mega World, RLC, and those two other stocks for long-term investment, until you see a portfolio percentage allocation that plays between 20 to 25%. Okay, you need to lower this 49% by a significant degree. You need to lower your 32% fund allocation for RLC to somewhere between 20 to 25%. 20% is better. Okay, so that's your twofold goal for long-term investment as far as this portfolio that you've shown me is concerned. Okay, Chris, I hope you're still getting it. I hope you're still with me. Now, how about your FGEN and GMA7? I'm sure you'd like to know. What are you going to do with these two stocks? So, first things first, do you see FGEN? Do you see GMA7 in our two watch lists? Short-term trading watch list and long-term investing watch list? No, you don't. You're not going to see these two because I don't recommend them. I don't recommend these two just yet. So, what I'm going to do now, Chris, is that I'm going to check on the technicals of FGEN and GMA7. Okay? So first things first, FGEN. Remember, for FGEN, your average price is at 26.43%. So let's take a look at the chart of FGEN. By the way, I'm using the charting tool of First Metro Securities. So here's for FGEN. What is your average price again for FGEN, Chris? Let's take a look. It's at 26.43%. 26.43%. And where is FGEN at the moment? It closed at 20 pesos a piece as of Wednesday trading. Thursday trading rather. Okay. So 20, and you are at your average price is at 26.43%. 26.43%. And here's what I would like you to realize, Chris. Your average price is somewhere here. It's somewhere between 26.16 and 27.46. Now, first things first, what are these black horizontal lines? These are the support and resistance levels. So these black lines, black horizontal lines above 20 pesos are the resistance levels that FGEN needs to break before, so that, just so it would inch closer to your average price. And these black horizontal lines below 20 pesos are the support levels of FGEN. So see this. Don't imagine this, but see this, Chris. For your FGEN to inch closer to your average price of 26.43 pesos, it has to break how many resistance levels? 1, 2, 3, 4. Make it 5. Make it 5 so that you would see your FGEN with a green day change. Or not day change, but on a green state. Okay? With gains, with paper gains. So your FGEN must break 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resistance levels just so you would see your FGEN on a green state. Right now it's on a red state, red status. Okay? Now, the question here, Chris, is what if FGEN what if it would take 1, 2, or maybe 3 years or so before it would break these resistance levels? Is that waiting period within your investment horizon? No, only you can answer that question. So, if that waiting period, not that I'm saying, okay, I'd like to make the, I would like to clarify this. I'm not saying that FGen would surely take 3 years or even more than 3 years before it would breach or break out above these resistance levels. I'm not saying that it would surely take 3 years or so. It's possible that it could break these resistance levels for about a few months or maybe a year. These are probabilities. Okay, first thing, we're not talking about certainties. Now, going back to the question, are you willing to wait that long just in case FGen would take about an X number of years before it would break these resistance levels? For what? Take note, just for a break-even price. And even if it would break above, even if it would kiss 27.46 resistance level, your paper gains are not that sizable yet because your average price is somewhere near 26.50%, 26.5. Are you willing to wait that long? Okay, so that's one thing that you need to consider on whether you will hold or sell your FGen at a loss. Okay, now there are some good things that I see here on the chart of FGen. You see here, I've shown you the net foreign trade here below the volume chart, below the volume histogram. So for the past 10 trading days, I've noticed that foreign investors have been registering a net foreign buying day for the past 10 days, 10 trading days to be specific. And since the second week of October, you see where my my mouse is pointed. Okay, so since the second week of October, I've noticed that FGen has registered an overall bullish trend. Okay, now I would like you to be mindful of this. It doesn't mean I've cited the overall bullish trend of FGen since the second week of October. It doesn't mean it won't. It does not mean that you will not see technical corrections from here on and onwards. No, even in a bullish market, even if you are in a bullish market, or even if your stock is in a bullish trend, there will still be some technical corrections. What are these technical corrections? These are days when you see a bullishly trending stock going down for a few days or maybe 1 or 2 weeks and before it goes up again. So those are technical corrections. They are needed. They're not necessarily a bad thing. They are needed just so the stock could gain, if not regain, a stronger upward momentum so you could push the price higher. Okay, so these technical corrections are needed. Okay, why am I saying these things to you? Why am I sharing these probabilities to you, Chris? Because you need to consider them. I don't want you to get shocked when you see them, when you see these technical corrections happening before you. Okay, so again, if the technical correction will make FGen break below 19.56, this is the support level, or maybe all the way below 18.53%. Okay, I would like you to put into consideration these support levels. That if and only if FGen breaks below 19.56 and it is accompanied with a bearish volume, and if the foreign investor starts to vomit or to sell what they have bought for the past 10 trading days, then there's a chance for FGen to retest the support level at 18.53. And if that bearishness continues or persists with strength, there's a possibility that the support level at 16.82 will be retested as well. Okay. So now what are you going to do with your FGEN now? So you have to ask yourself, with all of those probabilities that I've mentioned, of course, I know what you're hoping for. Everyone is hoping for the stock to skyrocket, to rake in as much gain, as much profit as possible. We all want that to happen. But we need to consider the pros and cons, the rewards and the risks. Okay, Chris? So those are the probabilities. It's now time for you to uh to ask yourself, am I going to hold this stock? Am I just hold it without buying some more? Or am I going to average down? Now, if I were in your case, if I were in your case, and when I say if I were in your case, that means if I were in your case whereby your FGen only holds 10.4, about 10% of your portfolio, and has a market value of 2,000 pesos. If I were in your case, I'm going to sell this stock at a loss. Okay? But of course, that decision is relative. That's me. Okay? That's my answer based on three things. Based on my financial goal, investment horizon, and risk tolerance. I can risk 637.74 pesos at a loss just so I could realign myself to a better trading position. It's okay for me. It's okay with me to sell FGen at a loss. Again, I would like to emphasize that's me. So you will have to ask yourself, based on what JC have shared with me, and based on my investment horizon, risk tolerance, and financial goal, am I willing to hold on to this stock? Am I willing to average down? Or am I willing to sell at a loss, just like what JC has mentioned if he were in my case? Okay, so you need to ask that to yourself. Now for GMA7, Chris, stay with me. So for GMA7, let's take a look at its chart. Okay, and your average price for GMA7 is 6.39% or 6.39 pesos. Here, 6.39. That's your GMA7. And where is GMA7 at the moment? It's at 5.43 pesos. 5 pesos and 43 centavos a piece as of today's closing, market closing. Now, no matter how many times I would click on the net foreign trade, there's no histogram that will appear here. Do you have an idea why, Chris? Of course, I'm not going to wait for you to answer. The reason for this one is that these multimedia network are not open for foreign are not open to foreign investors, including ABS-CBN. Okay, so don't wait for the net foreign histogram to be populated with bars and charts. That's not going to happen, at least for now. Okay, your average price again, let's take a look. 6.39 pesos, 6 pesos and 39 centavos. GMA7 is at 5.43, and your GMA7 must bullishly break out above how many resistance levels before it will inch closer to your average price of 6.39. How many? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Count 6.48 as 1. So GMA, imagine this. That's a lot of work to do, Chris. That's a lot of work to do for GMA7 just so it would inch closer to your average price. It has to gap up here. It has to fill the gap that was made um, after April 17, 2018. Okay, that's a lot of work to do for GMA7. Now, am I seeing a bullish trend on GMA7 based on a short-term time horizon? Now, bullish or bearish from what date? That's the question. So if we're going to judge this chart, if we're going to get the overall trend since its psychological bottom last October 11 to 2018, since it hit somewhere near 5.03 support level, I would say, of course, the overall trend here is an uptrend because we are only judging the chart from October 11 onwards. But if we're going to judge this chart from February 2018, of course, that's going to be obviously a bearish trend. Okay, so it's important to ask when someone asks you what's the overall trend of the stock. It's important to consider the time or the time horizon that was used to arrive to such overall trend insight or assessment. Now, let's take a look at the behavior of GMA7, Chris. Now, those who bought GMA7 near 5.03, there's a probability, if I would preempt what they could be thinking at this moment, they might be selling near 5.60. They might consider selling on strength or selling near the resistance level at 5.60 once they hit 5.60. So if and only if that happens, expect GMA7 to undergo technical correction again, maybe going near 5.50 or going back to 5.35 or lower. But that's those are the uh, realistic probabilities. Why realistic probabilities? You can see that behavior as well here. See, on October 11, um, GMA7 seemed to have identified psychological bottom near 5.03. It went up to 5.20 and then it went down again. That's the short-term technical correction, one of those. And then it went up again from 5.08 all the way to 5.36 or 5.35, this resistance level here, which is now the support level. Okay, and then it moved sideways. So these are the quote-unquote realistic probabilities that I'm referring to. So if okay, again, if the GMA7 traders, especially those who bottom picked this stock near 5.03 or 5.20, they might consider selling on strength or selling near resistance at 5.60. And when that happens, GMA7, it won't be, GMA7 would be more likely to tumble down and retest the previous support levels. Okay, so again, GMA7 has a lot of work, has a lot of hard work to do just so it could satisfy or it could inch closer to your average price. Again, we're only talking about your average price and not yet the 10% or higher uh, expected gains. Um, as I see it, as far as your position is concerned and GMA7's short-term volatility or short-term performance is concerned or are concerned, there's a greater risk than reward. As far as your position and the chart of GMA7 are concerned, Crescendo, there's a greater risk than reward. So, what's your percentage of portfolio allocation for GMA7? Let's recheck. It's 8.23% with a market value of 1,587 pesos. Again, Crescendo, this is just me saying this. If I were in your case, I'm going to sell GMA7 at a loss again, again, and again. And one more time, again. This decision is based on my personal financial goal, investment horizon, and risk tolerance. So I would be willing to risk roughly 3,500 pesos just to make things right. Just to realign everything from the perspective of Equalist Analytics of JC De Guzman, if you may. And then you can use the amount, the sold amount to top up, to buy one or two new long-term stocks. From where? From our long-term investment portfolio. You can use that sold amount. Okay? So I hope I was able to assist you I hope I was able to enlighten you, Crescendo, on about your entire portfolio, what I think should be done, where about the technical position of your stocks, FGEN and GMA7. I did not show you the chart of MEG and RLC because I monitor these stocks on a daily basis, and you get updates. You get consistent updates at least 3 times a day by just looking on to our long-term investment portfolio. I put 5 important columns on our long-term investment portfolio. Okay, here we have RLC. So we have the top five prices, that got the highest number of trades, and the top 5 prices with the biggest volume, the volume weighted average price point, the top 10 players buying average, and the top 10 players selling average. On a separate video, which I'm going to produce in the coming days, I'm going to pinpoint, I'm going to highlight, I'm going to emphasize, extra emphasis. I'm going to put an extra emphasis about the importance of these 5 columns. But for now, you can refer to our quick start guide on how you can use these 5 columns on your buying and selling decisions. But nonetheless, I hope I was able to assist you, enlighten you, and guide you about your portfolio. Crescendo. If you have any question, feel free to comment on the thread that you have created on our private clients forum. Again, this is JC from Equalist Analytics. Have a great day, Cress. Thank you.